Okay. And look what he says here. I love this phrase. I will keep watch to see what he will say. Interesting. He's already talking about, normally, I'm going to hear what God says. This guy is a visionary. This guy is going with a specific purpose. He wants to see. Okay? So, he's on the rampart. Now, usually these guys are up doing the wall when? More often than not, they're doing it at night. Okay? So it's dark. Very dark. In fact, there's no electricity. Okay? I'm telling you some obvious things here. So, he can't see anything. It is pitch black dark. Best time to see the Lord. Because your natural eyes have no way of actually seeing. Okay? So, he is on the rampart, on that high place, to see what he says. I love it. Okay? So, he's here, and he wants to hear the voice of the Lord. Speaking. This makes it memorable, okay? This is why I do this.
Why don't you let us have our own vision about it?
And then I love this next phrase. Now, I'm curious. You said about a complaint, right? The next word says complaint in your Bible.
Yes.
What version do you have?
I have the NIV.
NIV.
I have it too.
You says complaint too? Okay. Mine says, how I may reply when I am reproved. Okay? So, I was a little concerned about that because it almost sounded like Habakkuk knew he was in trouble. And he was going up to kind of get rebuked. Okay? And it's actually pretty close to what it means. Okay? And it says here, I'm not even going to try to tell you what the word says because I can say it about as good as I can draw. It's from the Hebrew word which actually means to be chastised, to be corrected, and to be proven different. Okay? So the idea of reproof, okay? Reproof. I'm going to give you new evidence that causes you to think differently about something. You guys with me so far? So here's Habakkuk. He realizes, okay, I'm surmising some things now because of what he's doing. He's going up to find out how God's going to reprove him. So basically, it's a child going to his father to find out how he's going to get rebuked. That's pretty cool. Most kids are like, no. Let's get away from Dad because he's not happy about what we just did. We just broke the lamp. I don't even want to be around him right now. Habakkuk's not like that at all. He recognizes that something is probably not right in his life. Something's wrong. Something's out of whack. Something's unrestrained in his life. So what is he doing? He's going to the source to get his life back on track. That's a beautiful picture of what we should all be doing. Something's not right. I don't know. I feel like my life's just kind of out of kilter a little bit. I'm not feeling peace. Come on, we've all been there. The place where we should go is to here. And why are we going here? Are we going here, just to get peace again? No. You don't get peace by just asking for peace. Has anybody ever found that out? You can ask for it all day long. You need to do what it requires to get peace, to get whatever it is you're looking for. And oftentimes it's to get our life back on track. So he recognizes, this prophet recognizes, I have to go back to God. And I also believe he's representing the whole of Israel. Look, we're all off track here. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to find out how to get back on track. I'm going to go get a vision. I'm going to see what he says. All right. So let's go back to the actual English. Then the Lord answered me and said, record the vision. All right, here we go. This is the good stuff. And by the way, the record means to write it down. Every one of us should at some place in a notebook, in a journal, somewhere on our mirror, on our refrigerator, should have some things written down that the Lord has said to you. Specifically as it relates to the vision for your life, or even the vision for the season that you're in right now. Record the vision. Inscribe it on tablets That's how they wrote in those days, okay? That was a very permanent way of recording something, okay? When you pound something into a tablet, first of all, I'm just writing here. What it took me about 13, whatever it is, 4 or 5 seconds to record the vision. Writing those words with stone, hammer, and chisel on a tablet would probably take about an hour to 2 hours, okay? So while you're writing that, it's getting into your heart, okay? If I'm painting a wall and I'm painting the words in perfect, calligraphy record the vision, that's going to get much more inscribed on my heart as I work on it. Are you with me? Understand that? So he's telling him, inscribe it on a tablet that the one who reads it may run. One who reads it may run. So, Habakkuk goes up to the rampart to get a vision for who?
For the people.
Yeah, for the people. Here I am, when first time I read this, thinking he's going up on the wall to get a vision for himself. The beauty of a vision, when you get your vision, Randy, Matt, any of you guys in this room, it's for others as much as it is for you. Because he's actually telling Habakkuk, write it down, pound it into a tablet, so that the next person that reads it knows what to do and they can just go. I have found that when I have a clear-cut vision for my life, my kids are just like, get me in there, I'm going. What we actually do is we become generationally positive, generationally impactful and effective. But if we don't have a vision, then the next generation has to do what Habakkuk is doing. The whole point of vision, back to Abram. Abram looks up at the sky, sees all the stars, and he doesn't have any kids yet. The vision is actually for the generations after him. I don't know if you remember this. Remember when the terror and great darkness comes upon Abram, after he cuts the cows in half and all this stuff, and the angel of the Lord walks between him, and Abram walks between them, and they cut a covenant. It says then darkness and, what does it say? Terror and great darkness come upon Abram. And the following words are said to him. Your descendants will be strangers in a strange land and will be under slavery or bondage for 400 years. He actually tells Abram, this will never even come close to happening in Abram's lifetime. He gives him a vision for his future generations. Why do you think he tells Abram that? Is that an encouraging prophetic word? That your future generations are going to be in bondage for 400 years?
No, but they exist 400 years later.
Hmm?
They exist 400 years later.
They do exist, but why would he tell Abram that? Isn't prophetic supposed to be encouraging and uplifting?
Maybe he told him so he can prepare them for being in bondage.
Absolutely.
A warning.
A warning. But then it says afterwards, you will come out. You ought to go read this sometime. I think it's, forgive me, I don't know my Bible that well to know if it's 16, 17, somewhere in there. But he says, and they'll come out rich, and they'll come out into a good land, it says. He told Abram to prepare them, to encourage them. Hey, God's involved. You're going to go through a dark season. God's with you. You're going to go through a really hard slavery time, but he's going to bring you out. So sometimes he'll give you a vision, and it has nothing to do with your life. It has to do with the next generation. Some of the things I know the Lord has shown me that I will do, I won't actually do them. They will do them. Their kids will do them. That's why vision is generational. It'll go beyond. But especially now in 2013, we're very, if it's not working for me right now, I don't need to hear it. I got a life I got to live. I got problems. I got bills. I got stuff going on. God, talk to me about right now. Not Habakkuk. He says, Habakkuk, I'm giving you something, and I want you to write it down so that the one who reads it after you may run. Okay.
What did they refer to when they called so that a herald may run with it? What was a herald?
A herald is a messenger.
Okay.
Someone that could then take the message and go run it to all the people that he needs to tell it to. So, for example, a general on the battlefield would then get a herald and say, hey, look, take this message to the king. And he would run and take the message to the king about what? What's going on the battlefield? Did we win? Did we lose? We need reinforcements. We need food. Whatever it is. That's the herald. That's who this guy is. Write a vision, make it plain, so that the guy can run with it. When he gets to the people, he can say, straighten up! We're doing things wrong. Get back on track. The Lord is God. Blah, blah, blah. All right, keep going. Verse 3. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. Okay? So vision is always ahead. Future. Okay? It gives us impetus in our now and pulls us into our future. Remember I was talking about the Lord's before us. Jesus says, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. What do you think that joy was? You never actually see what the joy was, so what do you think it was? What was the joy set before Jesus that he endured the cross? What was it? Somebody.
He was his father.
Being with his Father.
Us?
Us. Us in him. The joy set before him. Daddy, we're going to finish this thing because I see them. I see them all together. I see them unified. I see them back with their daddy the way they were always meant to be. That's why this is worth it. So the vision was ahead of him. It allowed him to endure and survive and succeed in the now. That's what vision does. Okay? The vision is yet for the appointed time. It hastens toward the goal. The idea of vision is it can't wait to get to its target. Okay? It's excited about it. And here's what the vision of God will not fail. Though it tarries, wait for it. Isn't that interesting? The first part of it says it hastens toward the goal. The next part says, though it tarries. You guys see that? So the word,
Though it linger, wait for it.
right, tarries, lingers, wait for it. So what does hastens mean? Does anybody have that word hastens, by the way?
Hurries?
Hurries. You have hurries? What do you have there? For the vision is yet for the appointed time. What's the next two words you have?
It speaks at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
Speaks of the end?
Yep.
Mine has hastens toward the goal.
It will
To
surely-
finish. What's that?
It will surely take place.
It will surely take place. The idea is it wants to happen. But we're sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, it's taken so long. Okay? Think about Abram. Abram hears the promise of God. You're going to have a son, guys. It's going to be awesome. He's going to be great. He's going to be your son of promise. And because of him, stars, generations, descendants like the sand of the sea, like the stars of heaven. And Abram's like, how many years do I have to wait? I have no child. We're getting up in age. And so Sarah finally says, that's it. I'm not waiting any longer. Get over here, big boy. And you know what happens. Ishmael. Okay? And then after that, do you know how many years Ishmael's the only son of Abram? 13. So we have a period of time from the promise until he goes into Hagar, and then we have another 13 years where he is believing that the promise that he heard way back here is on who? Ishmael. Okay? Now you and I know, because we're sitting back here looking back, that Ishmael is not the promised one. But to him, while he's waiting this period of time, and then these 13 years, Abram's raising up Ishmael as if he's the one. Right? Don't we do this in our own lives? We're thinking, you know what? God, that was a really nice thing you said over here, and I think it's going to be great, but you know what? I'm tired of waiting. So I'm going to make some things happen. I've done this in my own life, guys. Probably you've done it too. I've created Ishmaels. You've probably created one or two Ishmaels in your life. And then God comes to Abram, 13-year-old son at his side, and God says, now's the time. I'm about to give you your son. And if you go read this, Genesis 17, you'll see that he gives this big promise about he's going to give Sarah a son. Sarah's going to birth a son in her old age. And of course, what does Sarah do in the tent? She laughs because she hears this. She thinks he's crazy. She's even thinking Ishmael's the guy. And he finally says to him, oh, may Ishmael live before you. In other words, let the promise be on him. We've already invested all this time. We waited, and we didn't want to wait any longer, so we did this. Can you make it work here? I've done this.
That's what hastening towards the goal means, though.
Yeah.
You make it happen before it's supposed to.
Absolutely. Yep. And what does God say? You know what God's answer is about let Ishmael live before thee?
No.
One word.
No.
No.
No. He's such a gentle God. No. But he says later on, he says, you know what? Now here comes, man makes his plans, God orders his steps. The same promise that he gives concerning Isaac is the exact same promise and blessing that he gives to Ishmael. Guess how many sons Ishmael has? 12. All the same blessings that he promises to Isaac are also on Ishmael. And now, they're just as plentiful in the earth today as the Israelites are. You guys all know who they are? Yeah, the Islamic people. Vision is always ahead in the future. Okay? The idea is that we say, gosh, it feels like it's tarrying. The Lord says it's hastening toward the goal. You have to realize, I live in a place where there is no time. I live in this place. Work with me. Live in the Spirit and work with me in the Spirit. And I promise you, it will happen. It will certainly come. It will not delay. You and I, because we think vision has to happen now, it's delaying. You know, if vision always happened immediately, you would have no reason to be faithful. No reason to be committed. The reason why we need to be faithful is because we know that there's still the promise out there. Otherwise, you don't need to be faithful because the promise is fulfilled. So the whole point of being faithful is the promise is out there and I'm staying faithful. I'm staying committed because the Lord spoke and I know it's out there and I know it's hastening toward the goal. All right. So we've got vision here. Vision is what we see. What we see in Christ, what we see as a result of God laying it on the inside of us. And then we have a strategy here from Habakkuk of how we get it. Okay? We see what he says. I actually believe that Habakkuk saw the words in the dark. Have you ever actually seen words, like if you're in prayer and the Lord actually gives you words? I've seen that before too. Or God will give me a scripture. It's almost like a movie screen right behind my eyes. The Lord just kind of gives me words and things like that. I love when he does that kind of stuff. Another thing about vision, it's for others to run with. It's for others to see. I think it's for our children. I think it's for the other people in our lives. And it causes us to run as well as them. And it's always ahead. It's always in our future. Okay? So one of the things I want to make sure you have written down is vision is what we see. Okay? Now, let's go to mission. I just want to get these definitions out to you here. For me, now this is not biblical as much as it is just Mark kind of trying to bring some understanding to some of this stuff. So, I don't want to say it's not biblical, but I'm not going to give you a verse that says this is what mission is. Mission is how we get to what we see. Okay? How we get there. It's the roadmap by which we achieve the overarching vision. What I have discovered is that the mission is often a set of smaller, successive visions that bring us to the big vision. So, we'll just use Habakkuk down here. So if this is the time spent, this is time, and over here is the vision, Habakkuk's eyes are on the vision, and as he's walking toward it, there's a way in which he goes toward the vision. There's a plan. There's a stepwise process that he creates, sometimes just because life hands him things, and sometimes because his mind actually planned them. Back to Proverbs, which one is the man makes his plans? 16:9? Yeah. Okay. So, he goes forward, and then you kind of got these steps that he takes toward the vision. This is mission. Okay? You can have a vision, and it's powerful. But in the process of vision, if you have absolutely no idea how you're getting there, you probably won't get there. Okay? there is a process by which we make plans that take us from where we are in the now and that walk us into the future vision. I'll tell you, this is not necessarily as much of a biblical thing as it is just a human thing. The people that are the most successful in life actually know where they're going. And they know how they're getting there. You guys have probably heard this story before, but there was a man back in the, I think it was the 40s or 50s, forgive me, I don't know the exact date, who walked into like this patch of ground in the middle of Florida and just sat down on a bench and looked at this big wide open area that was undeveloped. And he saw this beautiful castle on this abandoned piece of junk property that was basically worth nothing. He actually saw the turrets and he saw the drawbridge going over a moat that would lead to this beautiful castle. And he all of a sudden said, I see it. I'm going to build it. And this is like 1950s. It's like, what the heck? Why do I see this thing? He's like, I'm going to build it. And he went to a bank and they started building Disney World. It's because of a vision of seeing a castle on a piece of abandoned property that no one was using. He bought it for basically nothing and created one of the largest companies in the world today. And it's just all because of a vision. And then he goes and he begins to make his plans. Now, he's not just going to get money from a bank by just saying, I see a castle, give me money. How many people are going to give you money? No, he laid out a plan. And he talked about an amusement park. Well, I'll tell you, amusement parks were not a very good investment back in that time. But he says, I got an idea. I'm going to base it on some of these cartoon characters I've got in my brain. You know, he's thinking, I got to think of bankers thinking, are you serious? Cartoon characters. And someone believed in him. Financed his vision. Pretty rich guy today. No, the guy who invested. All right, so we have to have a plan of how we get to what we see. That's why I think the Proverbs 16:9 scripture actually fits in better here than it does in the vision sentence. Because Proverbs 16:9 here says man has to make plans. In fact, the Lord's saying this, I want to order something in your life. Give me something to order. Give me something to make successful. You can't just throw up some things and say, you know, God, I really wish you could make me rich. Or God, I really wish you could give me a really good-looking husband. Make sure he's rich. And make sure he's got a good car already. No, that's not how the Lord works. What the Lord works is He sees someone going in a direction, making some decisions, and then He says, I'm joining her. I'm getting involved with his life. And then as that person surrenders himself, just like Habakkuk did, then he says, now I can guide him. Now we can walk together, just like we talked about on the relationship side of things. So a man makes his plan, a God orders his steps. How we get to what we see. So, let's relate this to the vision of World Harvest Outreach. Those of you that were in the family meeting a couple weeks ago, how many people remember what the vision statement was? Anybody remember? You're not allowed. Let's start to play these out.
Something about people.
Let me show you how these two work together. Empowered people, advancing God's kingdom.
Oh. Climbing close.
Yeah. Is it in all the earth or in the air?
In there.
In the earth. Okay. So, where we came up with that is that I actually saw this. I had a vision back in 2009 where I saw this facility here on Wayne Avenue in Chambersburg, and I saw streams of people leaving this place and touching every facet of society with the power of the King. Walking in love, walking in victory, walking in power, and advancing God's kingdom. Okay? So this is what we see. And it's always before us. Right now, we're in the infantile stages of this. Okay? We go to a couple nations a couple times a year. Now, there's some other things that we do. We also people go to where every day?
Work.
People go to work. People go to work. Okay? Work is society. Work is the marketplace. For some, work is other states. For some, work is other nations. It's other peoples. It's peoples that will never walk inside this building. Okay? So the idea here is that these people will leave this place. That's why I've got it over the door. Remember what it says over the door?
What happens here leaves here.
Leaves here. Exactly. I don't want you to come here for an experience. I want you to come here so that you're empowered to leave here. Energized, lit up, so excited about what you can be, who you can touch in the earth. So I see this. I see people leaving us, leaving the family. Kind of like when a family comes together for a reunion, gets loved, gets some time, spends time together, and then goes out. That's what I see happening here. So they go, but they're going with a purpose. They go into all these places, society, marketplace, other states, other nations, to other peoples with a purpose. Yes, what's your job? You're in the warehouse?
I don't have a title.
Packaging rubber and sending it out to the earth. Okay. Somebody else, what's your job? Quick, somebody.
It's not really what I do.
Cosmetology. Okay, so you're interacting with people every day, different people every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody else. You're counseling.
Counselor.
Yeah. Changing people's lives with the power of the gospel. Somebody else.
Customer service rep.
Customer service rep. How many people do you talk to in a day? Different people.
Lots of people.
Lots. Thank you for that very specific number.
Sometimes more than two.
All right. So I can get all you guys to tell me what you do when you leave here every day. You could say that I'm a customer service rep. You can say you're a cosmetologist. Warehouse. The point is, these are all really cover roles. They're really just duties for your identity. But every one of you have a specific role that if you opened your eyes, not these eyes to what the nails, not your eyes to hair or whatever. Sorry, I thought cosmetology was nails. Forgive me. Okay. That's why I do what I do and she does what she does. These are all cover roles. We're undercover agents for one particular purpose, to advance God's kingdom. So what I see is all of these guys are ambassadors to all these different realms that touch all these different realms of society. They have a purpose. They go in as a warehouse worker. While they're working in the warehouse, packaging and all these things, they are touching people's lives, loving on them, waiting for the opportunity to present Christ to them through love, through affection, through a prophetic word, through just a, hey man, you're going to make it. It could be you have to work all week, Matt, to get one word into a guy that's needed it all week. And it's worth it. You guys with me? Yeah. So this is what I see. And then I see him going in all the earth. And obviously we just described what all the earth is. So far so good? So I see that. Guys, this is what gets me awake every morning. Okay? I cannot wait to get up, to meet with people, to prepare teachings, to pray, to intercede, to even go to I go to place too. I go to Fuds. Okay? And I've told these guys this before. My goal is to cook burgers in the Spirit. It's the best burger you could ever have if it's cooked in the Spirit. Perfectly cooked, juicy, fantastic. While I'm cooking in the Spirit, while I'm taking orders, that's my thing. I like to work with the guests. I like to take your order. I like to make you feel like you should spend more money than you really wanted to when you walked in the door. That's my gift. I love to do that. While I'm talking to you, and then after I take your order, one of my favorite things to do is to remember your name, and then go out onto the floor and say, hey Bob, how was your meal? And I love how did you remember my name? Something happens when people hear their name. It's like, it brings attention. Something different. This guy who took my order 15 minutes ago still remembers my name. Oftentimes people will come back. And then when they come back, I say, what?
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob! He loves it! And I see him every week. And there's hundreds, I'm not kidding you, hundreds of Bobs. And over a 7-year period of time, I've got Amber's name memorized, Robin's name memorized, Mike's name. It's amazing how many of these guys come in, I just remember their name. And they love it. I need 100 more, though. Just so you know, in case you're wondering, here's me acting out my mission. Okay. I love to do this. And then I might have to interact with 1,000 people till I find one that I can advance the kingdom in. That I find I can intentionally do it. But I've also found, as I interact with the 1,000, I don't even realize that my impact is already being made on them. They'll actually come back to me sometimes and say, I just want to tell you how much of an impact you've made on me. Like, we've never once talked about the Lord. I've never once prophesied over you. I've never prayed with you. But they've done, who's had that kind of conversation with somebody? Oh yeah, you all have. You've had an impact on my life. Why? You've modeled Christ. You simply were Him in your environment, and you changed people's lives. You caused them to see. Isn't that the whole point? When we walk in our vision, we cause other people's visions, if I flip this back over, to be seen. We awaken them to who they are. All right, so that's the vision. Now, it's great if I just wake up every day and have this vision, but I got to have a mission. I got to have a way. What's the plan, Mark? It's great. That's a great vision. How in the H are you going to do it? All right? Well, I have a mission. Does anybody know what it is?
To remember everybody's name.
Okay, let's go back to who. I'm talking about the who vision.
Equip. I took notes at the meeting.
That's awesome.
Activate.
Yeah!
Good job,
Release.
Sherry.
And release.
Effective disciples of Christ.
Effective disciples. Now, just stop a second. All right. So, in the mission, there are a lot of action words. See, there's more action words here. There's not a whole lot of action words here. There's a lot of descriptive words here. These are empowered people. In fact, I only have one verb here in this whole sentence. Verbs are action words, right? Am I right? Yeah, okay. One verb in the whole thing. I've already got 3 verbs in the first 3 words of the mission statement. I've already tripled the amount of action in the mission as in the vision. Why? Because this is a description. So it's as if I was looking at the Mona Lisa and I was describing to you what I saw. That's what vision is. Then I come down here to mission, and then it's as if I was trying to tell you how to paint the Mona Lisa. Okay? So now I want to try to explain to you how we're going to get here. How we're going to get from where we are right now in 2013 to this. Just begin to think about this in your life terms. I'm just giving you an example of how we did this for the church. Now you got to think about this for your own life too. So, all these action words. I'm going to equip people. I'm going to activate people. And I'm going to release them. It's almost a 3-step process. We equip them. And I do this. I can even break this down for you. We love them. And then we begin to restore them. People need restored. There's so many people who are so broken and hurt because of church experiences, because of the way their families raised them, because of the way the world treated them, because of a bad marriage, or a bad relationship, or a bad work relationship, whatever it is. They need restored. And then they need renewed. How do we renew them? We renew them in their mind. We reteach them the way they're supposed to think about themselves, the way they're supposed to see themselves. And then we activate them. How do we activate them? We tell them this. We tell them that this is what you get to do every day. You get to take this new person that's been loved, restored, and renewed, and you get to do this. Are you excited? We give them vision, we give them purpose, we give them a reason to live, and then we fling them out of here, just like, bam!
When you say this, you're not saying whose vision, their vision.
Their
what
vision.
They were made to do.
Yes. No, I meant the empowered people
Yeah.
that advance God's kingdom.
Yeah.
You get to go to work. Yeah! You get to go do hair, Becky, every day.
I like it. No, I honestly do.
But you like it, but you don't like it just because you get to do hair. You now like it because as you're doing hair, you're touching a life that needs this same 3 things. Now you begin to take your vision here and apply the mission to it. I get to love, restore, and renew somebody as I'm doing their hair. You know why? Because they'll probably never enter our building. In fact, One of the things that churches used to teach you is that your main job, Julia, is to go out and get everybody to come to World Harvest Outreach. Get them all to come on Sunday morning, and then the guy that we pay a salary every week, we'll get him to save them all. Right? Oh yeah, get them all. You guys, your main job is to just hurry up and just drag everybody you know to church, sit them in a pew, and then I'm going to get up there and and puppeteer my thing and show them how to be a good Christian, all this stuff, and then of course they'll get saved and they'll realize how great it is. That's not the church. The church is, I'm out of breath, jeez. My job is to equip who does come to go do what I'm supposed to do. What I'm doing, you're supposed to do too. It's the priesthood of all believers. Not just the priesthood of priests. You're priests too. You're priests and kings in the earth. So, I'm equipping you to be an equipper. So what does advancing the kingdom mean? It means this: to love, restore, and renew people. And then to tell them the same thing that you just found out, that they can leave my shop with their hair all beautifully highlighted, and they go be light in their home. Or in their job that they're going to go to after their appointment. And it's just this domino effect that begins to take place in the earth. Okay, you guys with me?
Yep.
I'm excited about this. I love it. So equip, activate, and release effective disciples of Christ by
Connecting them.
Here's some more verbs. Another verb, action word. Connecting them
To their original identity.
to their original identity
And purpose in God.
and purpose in God. How do we do that? We get them on the rampart. We get them connected to Him who restores their vision so that they can run and others can run. And it's just a beautiful cycle that takes place. So that's our vision. That's how we get to what we see. This is what we do. We equip, we activate, and we release. There's a lot of verbs in here. There's a lot of things that we do. A lot of things we give our energy to and time to. Up here, all of this energy and time and effort brings us into this. So everything about the mission is because the vision exists. Without a vision, there's no point in having a mission. You can have all kind of activity, and then at the end, if there is no vision, I saw Rich say it, what happens to people? They perish. If there's no vision, why come to church?
Why do anything?
Why do anything? If you have no vision for your life, you're just like, hey man, I just want to get the mortgage paid this month, Mark. I don't understand this whole vision and mission thing. I just want to get my stuff taken care of. Is that really the way you want to live? If you ask me, that's that old slave thing we were talking about on Sunday. You can be a slave. You can put on your tombstone, what a great slave. Or, that was harsh.
Can't wait to come back on Sunday.
I'm sorry. Or you could be...
I feel so equipped right now.
If you have a vision, you will automatically begin to step out of slavery into sonship. Because you can't, the vision comes from who? Comes from a father. And when a father gives a vision to someone, father gives vision, he automatically turns this guy into a son. It just naturally happens. When you get vision from a father, you become a son. You realize who you are. You're a son. Okay, so, you guys all understand all that scribbling?
She wants to talk without you in the middle. But that's okay.
Good? Okay, so, let's just finish this thing. So, the vision is what we see. The mission is how we get to what we see. Proverbs 16:9. There's other verses that can go along with that. Oh, I love the one to talk about vision. You guys remember when Paul gets the vision of the Macedonian man? He has a vision, this guy from Macedonia shows up. Remember? What does he say to him? Come over. Help us. We want help. And it says that Paul turns around and he tells all his guys, and you know the writer of Acts is not Paul, right? It's probably Luke. Okay? So Luke is writing this, and if you go look this up, I'm not going to take time to go there now. It says that Paul saw the man, saw the vision, and we sought to go. One guy sees a vision, and then the bunch of people around him say, yep, that's the Lord, let's go. Now, that only works in unity. You think about if we have a group, let's say how many are in here, 20? Roughly. And I say, hey guys, let's go to the other side of the building. And every one of you in this room think, you know what, I don't want to go to the other side. I don't think that's what the Lord says. And so let's go to the other side, and I realize nobody's coming with me. I don't have good vision, or there's multiple visions in the house. When there's a powerful vision in the house, then the people that are committed to the guy, that are committed to the person that believes he's hearing from the Lord, this is where leadership comes in. Then the group says, yes and amen, we're going to Macedonia. Did he talk to any of the other people? Did the Lord talk to any of those other people? He talked to who?
Paul.
Paul. So why are the other people going?
Because they believe in the vision.
Because they believe in the vision. They also believe in the man. And that's a really hard thing for people to do. Especially in this independent United States, 2013, I'm a man. I don't need to follow another man. That's happening a lot. There's a whole lot of independent people out there who don't think they need to follow anybody else. And as a result, there's a whole bunch of these islands all over the place. The reality is there are people that are actually hearing from the Lord, getting a vision of a man in Macedonia, and he needs help. Paul could not go and do it on his own. He needed the group to come with him. That's the power of vision. When he saw the vision, he told the people, and they said, let's go. Powerful. Finally, let me just finish up here. Purpose. Why we go to what we see. Okay? Purpose is why. Vision is how. Vision is what. Okay? Now, there's probably a bunch of different teachers and speakers and motivational leaders out there who probably do some different version of this. It doesn't really matter to me if you think the purpose is the mission and the mission is the vision and the vision is the purpose. It doesn't really matter to me. If you know what you see and you know how you're getting there and you know why you're doing everything you're doing, you're going to be great. And more than likely, you're actually going to be an arrow that hits the target. And if you don't hit the target, you're at least going in the general direction of the target, which is a heck of a lot better than a lot of other people in life. Okay? And I have discovered that someone that actually has a purpose, has a why, has a how, and has a what, is magnetic. And will draw the attention of other people. Because there's a lot of aimless, unrestrained people out there who have no vision. They don't know who they are. They don't know where they're going. They don't know why they even exist. And then when they get around someone that does have a purpose, I'll never forget. When I first got saved, I had no idea what it meant to even be saved, but I knew I was supposed to be saved. I got saved, and I had this big question in the front of my mind. Now what? Because I was going to be I was a pre-med student at Shippensburg. I had every intention of going to medical school. I had it all laid out, and then I got saved, and I felt like the Lord just took the dry erase board and just erased it all. And everything in me didn't want to do anything that I was doing prior to that moment. So now I'm standing there, I just don't know now what. Within 3 months, God connected me with a man who had a tremendous vision. And all of a sudden I realized the Lord told me on a Sunday night service at this new church I was going to, I was still in college, and the Lord said, go up to him at the end of the service and tell him I'm giving him my life. What you tell me to do, I'm going to do. Where you go, I go. Where you say, pretty much Elisha to Elijah. I'll never forget it. In fact, you know what? Thank you, Lord. That's what was preached on that night. It was Elisha and Elijah. And Elijah hears in the cave that he's supposed to anoint Elisha as a prophet in his place. You guys know this story. And so he goes down and he takes his mantle and he throws it on Elisha and then he starts walking away, right? What's Elisha do? He starts following him. And Elijah's like, what are you doing? He actually says these words, what have I done to you that you would follow me? And it says, and you'll even know the history of it, Elisha follows Elijah everywhere he goes, to the point where later on, after Elijah goes up to heaven, it says of Elisha, is this the man who washed the hands of Elijah? He didn't just follow him around to learn how he ministered. He actually washed his hands for him. It speaks to the nature of relationship that he developed with Elijah. And then after that message was preached, I remember thinking to myself, I need an Elijah. That's why I've got a now what. I don't know what my now what is. And so the Lord said to me, go to that man. Because my heart had already kind of been connected to him. And so I just walked up to him and I said, hey man, I just want to let you know, if you ever need anything, or if you ever go anywhere, or if you ever do anything, I'm supposed to just do it with you. And he's like, okay. And so he was on one mission trip before that event where I told him that. I went on every mission trip he went on for the next 9 years. I worked in his business for the next 14. I literally gave my life to this guy. Why? He had a vision. And God knit our hearts together. And ever since that time, guys, my life has now gotten a vision. It has a purpose. I gave my life to a Paul who said he saw a Macedonian man. I gave my life to a man who had a vision like that, and I gave my life to his vision. I did everything in my power to help make his vision successful. And then in 1997, he gets removed from a church that I'm an elder in at 26 years old. It's kind of weird. I was an elder in a church at 26. And then after 6 months of me being there, I realized the man that I'm supposed to be connected to is no longer in this church. What am I doing here? So I leave that church, and in 1997, we start World Harvest Outreach together. And I labor alongside of him as we establish this new work in the community. And don't get me wrong, we went to other churches in this area trying to find a church to connect to. What were we looking for?
Vision.
We were looking for vision. We were looking for a vision that aligned ourselves with what was in our heart. We wanted to give ourselves to this, and we couldn't find a church that was doing that. We couldn't find a church that wanted to go into all of these areas and empower people to go into this. We were all going to churches that wanted to bring people into their building. That was not our goal. Our goal was, hey, if you come, if you listen on the internet, if you come once a month, if you come for 3 months and then leave, our goal was that you just get empowered to go do this. We couldn't find anywhere that did that. So the Lord said, if you can't find it, build it. So 1997, he heard the Lord, and I said, yep, let's do it. So we built this church together. I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but for the first 8 years of this church, I was the worship leader. We made a CD.
And you played a trumpet.
I played the trumpet, I sang, I wrote songs. You guys probably don't know this about me. The Hurleys do. They used to remember me leading worship. But,
I've been through that.
yeah, you don't have to remember any of that if you don't want to.
I think we still have that original CD.
You do?
I'm gonna have to bust that up.
You might have
Oh,
to
yeah.
burn it.
We'll have it next time.
And as a result of that, I began to develop my own vision inside of somebody else's. I began to see these very words on my own mind. And now, this, you have to realize, this vision was a complete result of my giving my life to another man's vision. And as I did that, that got distilled into my spirit. Now I've been walking 3.5 years in my own vision, and this is all, I'm already ready to kind of morph it a little bit more. I'm ready to change this from empowered people. What did I say I was going to change it to?
Powerful, loving.
A powerful, loving family. Because I think that speaks more to who we are and what I see going forward. And one of the vision things I have is Abram's household. For those of you who were at the family meeting, I'm repeating myself. But the point is this, I see Abram's household, 318 men, born in his house. And it says 318 trained men. That means his house was a training ground, not only to raise livestock, not only to farm fields, but to destroy 5 kings' armies. It just makes me I want to grow hair on my face just as I say it. I can't. That's my problem.
Amen. Me either.
Yeah. So I see it so clearly. I see those men when Abram says, hey boys, Lot's captive. I hear him all of a sudden say, whoop! All of their equipping and activating and releasing suddenly says, we got to go. We got to go right now and go get our nephew. And they go and they get him and they bring him back, and it doesn't matter what stands in their way. That's what I want. I don't need a big church. I just need 318 that can kick,
Tail.
bleep. You know what I'm saying? I want to win them all. I want to win all the Lots that got messed up in Sodom. I want to win all the ones who realize after a while, oh boy, I chose wrong. And I barely got out with my skin. My wife didn't even make it. I want them all back. All back. That's what I'm after. So that's my vision. How do we do it? Right here. And then we got a purpose statement. I'm so tired, I can't even really talk anymore. We're working on an apartment and who had 3 dogs in that house for 10 years. I am deathly allergic to cats and dogs. And as I clean it, I'm getting such bad asthma attacks. So I'm hurting a little bit. Anyway, vision and mission? Make sense? Okay? Yeah? Any questions? Do you want to say something? I'm sorry, did I miss that? I apologize.
The whole thing wrapped together, and after you get to that part, it just rolls up in me and I just want to scream. The whole thing comes down to fathering. Those 318 men were fathered. You know, that love, restore, release. We have lots of teachers, but have not many fathers. And it's like that's the whole thing in a nutshell for me. Is like, in this family, seek out the fathers. Who are the fathers among us to find that that vision of, are you on the right vision?
Yeah, and that's, thank you, Jim.
And then, you know,
That's
are you
why
on the right vision?
That's why I told that story of the guy that I gave my life to, because he became a father to me. All the things my natural father didn't do in my life, which was a lot. He did a lot in my life, but he wasn't able to father me into my spiritual heritage, into my spiritual vision. This man was able to. I gave my life to him. I didn't even know what that meant. No one's teaching me how to do this. I had no idea what it meant to give my life to a guy. But I just said, hey, where you go, I go. Where you stay, I'll stay. Where you say, I mean, I did that. And as a result, it was as if I was giving myself to the Lord in the shape of a man. And the Lord honored it. And I really think that that is a pattern that we can walk in. I believe there's a father and son model that we're slowly, culturally developing here in the heart of the culture of love that can absolutely train up a lethal generation that lethally loves. You know what I mean? Just lethally loves every spiritual force out of people and cause them to see who they really are. You're absolutely right, Jim. Thank you for that.
The description puts me in the mind of the movie Braveheart. It just, I don't know, just like you're saying, just how it was just, he had a vision and to the very end, like he died for it. You know, and I just
And as a result of his death, Robert the Bruce rises up after completely betraying him, and then watching him be betrayed again, and then rises up, takes his vision, and finishes what he started. Absolutely.
And the one thing about that is when, you know, all the fighting and everything, all the devastation that they've seen, the one thing that really got to him the most was when he felt that betrayal. I think that was just...
That was the most heart-rending part
Yeah,
of
it was
that.
most the heart.
Absolutely.
It was what started him.
I gotta stop. I love you guys. Was this okay? Is this good? Yeah?